I'm sure there's been some changes with all the different AI tools out there and like the AI tools using crawlers and things like that. How have analytics evolved or changed, and how might someone need to interpret them differently, given there are all these different kinds of crawlers and potential traffic on the website that could be affecting the analytics in different ways?
So, I mostly work with Google Analytics. So, for example, we're just starting to see traffic sources from AI being accounted for in the analytics. Because one of the things you can tell is, how did people get to my site? We're used to seeing traffic coming in from a search engine or from social media and from your email list or whatever. But now we're also starting to see where people are coming in from AI, which is quite interesting. And as I mentioned earlier, these days also, if you log in, often you'll get an AI thing that will say, oh, look, you got a peak of visitors on such and such a day. Or I see this anomaly, or whatever it might be, which is helpful. It can be, it may not be. There may be, yes, I got a peak of visitors this day because I sent out my newsletter this day. So, thank you. I'm not that interested. AI can also do some of the stuff that I hate doing, like making pretty charts and graphs much more quickly than I can. So far, hopefully the limitation of it, which means that I still have a job or a meaningful role, is beyond that. The whole, so what can I do about this? That creative part that I mentioned earlier, where we've created a new product or service or completely rejig the content, or something like that. I don't know that the AI can yet really do that effectively for an individual business within the context of that business. So it's really like a really great intern. Well, no, maybe more than that, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, how do you recommend people start integrating web analytics into their broader business planning and discussions?
Yeah, I mean, it should completely be part of your strategy, because your website, your marketing is part of your strategy. On the more sophisticated side, for example, analytics now, and again, another use of AI is to do what we call predictive analytics. So, for example, if you're selling stuff, if you have an e-commerce site, it can start saying what kind of inventory you might be likely to sell in the next time period or so on, and that will inform your operations and your fulfillment and all that kind of thing. So really understanding what's going on with your business and putting that into the context of where you want to go. So you're both using analytics to evaluate whether what you want to happen is working, and also to inform where you could go in the future. So it really should be an integral part of your strategy and your planning on an ongoing basis.
As companies are growing and they're getting more and more analytic data, and someone can feel like they're just getting buried in these metrics. When does it make sense to delegate and hand off these analysis tasks to someone like you, or maybe part of it to an assistant or something like that?
Well, firstly, I should say you really don't want to measure everything you can. I mean, people can drown in data, and there's no point to that. You really only want to measure metrics that you can do something about, that are answering a question that you have, where you see a problem that you want to solve. You really don't want to look at every single possible thing, because you'll just it's overwhelming, as you said. And also, if you see an issue that you want to resolve, you're going to have to figure out what the solution is. And again, hopefully somebody like me can make suggestions on that. But then you're going to need to test it, because somebody like me might be wrong, or, our best guess can be wrong. So we need to test. So, for example, moving a call to action solves the problem that people aren't seeing it and aren't acting on it. So then if you're following a bazillion different metrics at once, or you're changing a different things at once, right? You don't know what you've done that impacts that one thing that you're trying to evaluate. So it's better to have a few metrics that represent current priorities and work with them than try to do 15 different things at once.